Hello, and it's another warm welcome from the studios of BRTK in Lefkosha. My name is Jan Ghazi. I'm your host for A Cup of Conversation on BRT2 TV. My guest this week on the programme is an old friend, and we go back many, many years, in fact probably over a decade. He's been on my programme twice before. This is his hat trick on the show. Namak Chaush has been here as a singer, also as an artist, and today he returns to the BRTK studios as an author, and he has a brand new book out. It's called Anto, Curse of the Hidden City, Book 1. It's the first part of a trilogy he's got in his mind, and I'm very honoured and very happy to have my old friend Namak Chaush back at BRT. So, Namak, welcome back to the studios of BRT.
Thank you for inviting me back, Jan.
You're more than welcome, Namak.
Pleasure to be back here.
It's great to have you here. It's such a pleasure to have an old friend, a smiling face back in the studios. Now, Namak, for those who don't remember you, you came back. I mean, I can't remember the year, but when you first came, when we first met, you actually were releasing a CD or a clip called Summertime Reggae, an album.
Yes,
and what year? I mean, can you remember what year ago that was?
Actually, I released my first album, music album, in 2003, but I think we didn't meet until 2005 when my second album was released, which was called Trust.
Yeah.
And the song that got the most attention on that album was Summertime Reggae, and that's when we met. It must be 2006, so over 10 years ago.
Over 10 years ago,
yes.
we met. I think at that time, were you still living in the UK?
I was living in the UK, and I came back to live in Cyprus in 2007, so I was still in the UK back then. Yeah.
Right, okay, let's go back to the beginning now. So like me, you're a London Turkish Cypriot.
That's correct.
Your mum and dad are Turkish Cypriots. Yeah. Where are they from here originally? Where are they from in North Cyprus? Do you know the villages that they're from?
My mother is from Limassol,
yeah,
originally, and my dad's from Famagusta.
Right. And you were born in
London.
In London, but you also spent some time in Somerset, didn't you? You went to school?
I went to school in Somerset for about 7 years, and then I went to university in Canterbury. And
right.
I ended up living in Canterbury for 10 years because I graduated as a radiographer and was offered a job at the Kent and Canterbury Hospital.
Now that is a very unusual profession for a young Turkish Cypriot to choose in the UK. So when you were studying at university, how did you go into radiography? Was it something that you always, were you interested in science, or did you hear about the course? What happened?
Well, back in those days, they were looking for radiographers.
In the UK?
There was a demand for radiographers, diagnostic radiographers, and I went into the careers library one day at school, and I took the Canterbury prospectus and I was looking through it, and there was this write-up on radiography, and I enjoyed the art side of it. You know, you create images, they're X-rays, and you're also helping people. So I thought this might be for me, and I gave it a go, and I worked as a radiographer for 16 years after that.
Amazing. What exactly does a radiographer do? If we go to a hospital, how do we meet the radiographer?
The radiographer takes the X-ray or the scan, and also so they work with the diagnostic side of things. You get the diagnostic radiographer, which does the diagnostics, and you get the therapeutic radiographer, which does the therapeutic side of things, obviously. But,
right.
There's a lot of role development of radiography at the moment. A lot of radiographers are developing their roles in the operating theatres and ultrasounds. So it's quite a fascinating career, and I enjoyed my 16 years of it.
Fantastic. Now, I think it's quite funny because the third time that you are here now on this programme, it's always been about your passion, nothing to do with your work or your jobs, but to do with your extracurricular activities like music, art, and now as an author, as a writer of a brand new book, which we'll be talking about in detail in a while. But you always have something going on in the background, don't you? You're a very busy guy. You never sit around and do nothing.
I like my hobbies. I like.
You like your hobbies. You're creative. You're artistic.
Yes, I would say I'm creative, and I have a
creative side.
Imagination that extends quite a bit.
Yeah.
So that helps with the arts and the music. You have to be creative, I reckon, to do these things.
So if our first interview over 10 years ago was for music, we were talking off air, and the last interview we did, which was about your exhibition, your artwork.
7 or 8 years ago, I think.
About 2011, you said.
2011, yeah.
Yeah, so that must be about 7 years ago now. And I remember that you did your artwork, and you actually had an exhibition at the Colony Hotel in Guinea.
That's right.
And I met you there as well. I came to your exhibition. You invited me.
There. Thank you.
It was good to see you there. Fantastic artwork.
Thank you.
I remember that vividly, parking, running down to the hotel and seeing you there. And in fact, unfortunately, shame on us, that was the last time I saw you until today.
Probably been very busy since then.
We've been very, very busy. Very busy. Since that time, you've got married, you've had a son, and I congratulate you on the news that you are having a second child on the way now.
Thank you.
Now, I have to mention this because you told me this again, reminding me of this, that my birthday, the 19th of November, is quite special for you because that was the day years ago that you actually had your first date with your wife.
Wife, yes.
What's your wife's name?
Simai.
So you met, you actually at a cafe.
At a cafe.
And I was there, wasn't I?
You were there, and it was your birthday.
Yeah.
So that date will always be special to us, 19th of November. And the new addition to our family could be born on that date as well, because
yeah, we know that you're going to be having a daughter. You have a son,
That's right.
who is 4 years old now. Dead end.
4.5.
4.5.
Mehmet, we call him. Yeah.
Right. Then Mehmet, and he's 4, nearly 5, and your daughter will be born near my birthday. So who knows? It could be 19th of November, which would be a special date for you, wouldn't it? Again, you know, the day that you met. Wouldn't it be nice to complete the family with a birthday on that day as well? Who knows?
Fantastic.
We'll find out. Please let me know in November what happens.
I'll keep you notified.
Keep me notified. So a lot has happened in your life since we last met, because you've got a great family. You are now a businessman here in the TRNC. You're very busy with your own business, family businesses in Guinea.
Basically, I've given up radiography, and at the moment I'm helping run the family car rental business.
Yeah.
And I also opened the Pilates studio.
Yes.
So there's a lot going on at the moment.
Very, very busy man.
As well as the writing, so there's quite a lot going on.
A lot going on. So, from music to art to writing. Now here we have your very first book. It's Anto, Curse of the Hidden City, Book 1. And we have a few copies here, but it's actually print on demand. We'll tell you how to get a copy of this book later on at the end of the interview, but I want to go back to the story now of how this all began. So, you have a creative side, Namik. We know that from your music and...
A lot of people don't know this, but I've been writing from a very young age.
Yeah.
Even during the times when I was doing music and my art.
Yeah.
In the background, I was writing. There was a lot of writing going on in the background.
Yeah.
But I could never make ends meet, if you see what I mean, to complete a book. But after my son was born, I started, he wanted me to tell him a lot of bedtime stories. I was reading books and he was saying, Daddy, I want a bedtime story as well. So I think it just escalated from there. And one night I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth, and I saw a small ant, and I said to myself, wouldn't it be fascinating if I could do something along these lines, if there was a secret underground city when there was like little people, small ants living,
Yeah.
that, unknown to humans. And it just started off from there, and I started writing Anto, and it just got bigger and bigger.
A nice story, very unusual. I mean, as you're brushing your teeth in the bathroom, as you do every night, you know, you've seen Ant. So Anto became the setting of where your work, where your protagonists are based at, the city of Anto. I actually wonder, because when you say that you spoke to you were reading books to your son, age 4, did you ever think about making a kid's book, a short book, first?
I thought about it, but I enjoy writing so much that I prefer to be more descriptive.
Yeah. So you couldn't keep it something basic. You wanted to go into the full flow.
Write and write and keep it more descriptive. But it is a 13 plus, so it is a young adult fantasy novel.
Yeah. So nothing actually for your young son to read at the moment.
He has to wait a bit.
He has to wait. He has to grow up a little bit before he can read his dad's book.
Right.
But so there you are. Okay. After the idea of Anto and the underground colony of many people, how did this become into a story?
I knew before I actually started writing the story that I had to have an underground city with a small tribe that's unknown to humans. So that was my first goal. My second goal was to start writing the story, making this into a story. So I introduced a town nearby called Hiddington where humans live. And somehow they have to interact, but they are still unknown to humans. So I thought they could get their supplies from Hiddington. So basically I thought if they have small jets that look like wasps and bees that go to Hiddington and get the supplies and come back, and that's how they survive. So just that's how the story started.
And then as you write, it just flowed.
It flowed, and I got a few more storylines going on in there. And just expanded into a
full-blown book.
Full-blown.
And here it is.
1,000 words.
Okay, at the back it writes here, something very dark and evil is headed towards the secret underground city of Anto. Only one soldier has what it takes to protect the city, but will it be enough against what's coming? So the rest is in the book, and unfortunately I didn't get the chance to read the book because you only actually we were waiting for you to get the paperback edition in your hands from the UK. And we straight away did the interview. So I got this book straight away today. Thank you very much for my copy of the book.
You're welcome.
So I don't know anything about it. I'm going to read this, but how did you decide that it was going to be? What makes it 13 plus? Is it descriptions of the war, the skirmishes? What is it making it 13?
There's quite a few factors. The first one is it's more simple to read. Than an adult book.
Yeah.
The second factor is the language barrier. It hasn't got any bad words in.
Yeah.
Any kind of
no swearing.
No swearing or sexual content or anything like that. And it's just more simple to read, and it flows a bit better than an adult book would. I'm not saying it's not descriptive. It is quite descriptive, but it's not as descriptive as an adult book would be.
Right. So you're aiming for like maybe the teenager market.
It's 13 plus, but adults can enjoy it just as much, I reckon, because it's not. It's a young adult's book more than anything else. It's not it's not a children's book.
Right, which is very important when you are thinking of this book, and it will be a trilogy. We'll find out more about that in a minute. But I actually heard about this book, not from you. I found out what you were doing thanks to a very good mutual friend of ours, Marion Stewart. Now, Marion has been very helpful to you as a proofreader, hasn't she? She's been. You spoke with her. You told her that you were writing a book, and she said, "Can I help you with the editing or proofreading?" So,
actually, she called me one day to ask me something.
Yeah.
And we started talking, and she asked me how my artwork is going. And I said, actually, at the moment, I'm writing a book. I'm not doing any paintings. And she thought it was really interesting. And she asked if she could proofread the book and help with the editing. And straight away I said yes, because it's such a privilege to have someone to want to help with the proofreading and the editing. And Marion, she's very good at
Yeah.
work. She's very good at the English language. So
Yeah.
it's such a privilege for her, and I like to thank her for helping me
Yes,
with the grammar and
a great asset.
proofreading.
Yeah, she's a good friend and a very, very intelligent lady. So you had the right person to help you proofread the book. Were you happy with sharing your work with somebody else before it was actually printed? I mean, because you're writing, and maybe, I mean, I know Marion would be very, very constructive in any criticism, you know, that she came up with. But I mean, were you happy with people making comments or trying to rearrange what you've written?
Well, it's
Or did she keep it to how it was before? I mean, were you true to what you wanted?
we actually when I read the book back, Marion done the spell check, and then one thing she said to me that was very important. She said to me, "Don't be over descriptive." I think this was one of my
Probably
one
the
of my
drawbacks, maybe. Of
drawbacks. I was being over descriptive, so I ended up taking about 8,000 words out of the book.
Wow.
It flowed better, and she said to me, "Let the reader guess more than what you're describing."
Yeah.
So that was the important thing.
Good advice then from Marion. The book, writing a book, even though you had the idea, can't be very easy. And how long ago did you start the book? When did Anto begin?
It took me 15 months to
15
write.
months.
15 months, and it took about 2 months to edit, because I was editing and re-editing.
Yeah.
And it's actually more difficult to edit the book than to write it, I find. Because you want something that it's easy just to write, but when you look back, it needs to look good, it needs to flow well, and that's the more important thing.
So after 15 months, finally you are here now promoting your book on television here at BRTK. How often did you work on the book? Was it every day? Was it a few hours a day? Or did you spend like maybe, you know, lots of days, many hours? How did it go for you?
As a writer, you have to be disciplined, and you have to write at least 4 hours a day, I reckon.
Minimum.
Sometimes I was writing for 6 hours, and but it's important to get a few days rest also. If you write for 8 days non-stop, it's good to get 1 day or 2 day rest and refresh your mind and come back to it. And luckily, I didn't have any writer's block with this book, and I'm not having any writer's block with the second of the trilogy either. So it's going well, but it's important to have a plan in the beginning. You need to write down a story plan, because otherwise you could come to a dead end.
And where do I go from here, you might say?
From here, so you need to plan your story well. And just to make it more exciting, I found a few other storylines and blend them in with the main story. So there's counter stories going on as well.
All right.
And I think this is what makes a interesting book, to have the main storyline and also to have a few counter storylines tie up with your main storyline.
Right, so it's all interlinked at the end.
It's all interlinked.
Did you set out to make a trilogy? When you were writing Anto, do you think, right, this will be book 1, book 2, book 3, I'm going to, you know, set my story in 3 different books? Or did it come to the position where you ended the book, but in such a way that you could continue? How did the trilogy come about?
The trilogy, it came out halfway as I was writing the book. I thought, I can make this work. I can make this work into a trilogy, because I didn't have an idea of a trilogy in the start. And basically, to start a book, you need a main character, and the main character needs to go through different situations. And he needs to work out how to get out of those different situations. But at the beginning, I had a tribe of unknown people living under the ground who were miniature. So I had to work out my main character and what he's going to do. And from there, it just got going.
And continued.
Continued.
So you actually know now, as we're sitting here, what's going to happen in book 2 and in the third
I'm
one.
writing book 2 at the moment.
You're writing book 2, and you know what's going to happen at the end in book 3.
Because the book 3 is, I see it more as a conclusion to the other book.
Right. Who is the main character? Who is your protagonist in the book? I mean,
The protagonist is Tarmus, and he started off as a guard and a pilot, he's a soldier, and as time goes on, he takes on more important roles, which I won't go into because I don't want to give the story away.
no. But, well, I'm not going to say anything now. I want to take a break because this is very interesting. You actually have on the internet a clip promoting your book, and it looks like a clip for a film movie,
It's a
like
trailer.
a trailer.
It's a trailer for the book.
Although I've never actually, in all the years I've interviewed authors, never seen a trailer for a book like this. But it's a good idea.
I thought it'd be something different to promote the book, because a lot of people enjoy films and enjoy watching trailers these days. So
Yeah.
I thought to myself, why not have a trailer which is film-like, almost Hollywood-like, for my book?
Yeah.
And I reckon it worked out quite well.
Okay, so we're going to watch the trailer now, and then we'll be back to talk more about Anto and the Curse of the Hidden City with Namuk Chawush right after this. So let's watch the trailer for the book. A fantastic trailer there for a book called Anto, Curse of the Hidden City, written by N.K. Chawush. That's Namuk Kemal Chawush, who is my guest on the programme on A Cup of Conversation this week. So I want to mention that in that trailer we also see a few drawings, and lo and behold, even though you're not drawing or painting anymore, they're your sketches, aren't they?
They are my sketches. I've done all the artwork myself. And I also done, this is actually the first edition of the book, but in the second edition, if people go onto the Amazon page, they can see that there is a painting of a warrior with a crossbow, and that's done by me as well.
So in fact, the cover has now changed.
It has changed.
Even though this is the first edition of the book, the cover that you will see on the internet, on Amazon, and if you order the book now, will be Namuk's own painting or own sketch of his hero with the crossbow, or part of the, well, you will see. You'll have to go onto the internet to find out more. But that's a very clever way, Namuk, of promoting your book. That clip, that video trailer is fantastic. Well done. Very, 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 very interesting. So we're back to Anto, the Curse of the Hidden City, and you are now an author. How does it feel when you see this book now in front of you here after 15 months of hard work? Are you proud of what you've achieved?
I am proud, yes, and it's very surreal to see my own books in paperback. it's just a very good feeling, and I'm looking forward to finishing the second of the trilogy now.
Yeah. It's a lot of hard work.
It is a lot of hard work because a lot of time goes into it, and sometimes you have to read through it and make sure it flows well and it makes
Yeah.
sense. And there's lots of going back and correcting things.
Yeah.
So it's
Does your
all fun.
What does your wife think of this when you spend hours at the computer writing? Does she get a say? Does she ever read and say, well, you know, Namek?
She's proud of me, but sometimes when I write for hours, she tells me to take a break.
Yeah. But she must be proud of you.
She is proud of me.
And it is nice.
So, yes.
She is. I mean, your first book is dedicated to your young son, Dere Mehmet, and I'm sure that the rest of the books will be dedicated to people who are close to your heart.
They will be.
But sitting at the computer and obviously getting feedback maybe from Marion, who is proofreading,
And a few other friends.
and a few other friends,
well.
what has the response been like? I mean, serious responses. And when I will give you my response when I read the book.
I had a few reviews
Yeah.
on Amazon, and they've all been positive,
Fantastic.
which is good. But I'm open to any type of criticism because I see that criticism is the way to improve oneself. So, but so far the responses have been good. As long as the reader enjoys the book and goes through a fun ride during it,
Yeah.
that's the main thing. For me, that makes me happy.
As long as you're happy, that's the main thing as well with what you're doing. When I look at this original cover, and when I think about this story just on a very superficial level, because I haven't read the book, it reminds me a bit of the Hunger Games trilogy,
Yes.
where, you know, you've got a bit of a battle going on, and again, it's a bit of a fantasy book, and your book is fantasy as well. It's obviously, you know, you're talking about miniature people living underground with
That
ants.
was fantasy.
Yeah, so it's a fantasy book which allows you to be creative. Is that the type of genre that you like reading yourself? Because I think you were saying to me you actually like crime novels more, don't you?
Although I enjoy reading fantasy novels, I read Harry Potter's a long time ago.
Yeah.
I enjoy reading lots of John Grisham and James Patterson. I enjoy the thrillers. I read a few of Stephen King's books. So I reckon it's important as a writer, as an author, to read different genres as well. Just so you can see the different styles.
But what's your favourite though? If you had to choose a genre, I mean, if you were going to a bookstore and you're looking at different genres, which direction would you go in? Which shelf?
I enjoy a lot of, I enjoy thrillers, I enjoy fantasies. I haven't got
One.
I think it's the individual books that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And one very interesting point, as I was writing Anto, I was reading John Grisham's Rogue Lawyer. And it was all in present tense, and I thought this would be fun to write in present tense and not in past tense. So I ended up writing Anto in present tense, and it worked so well that I kept it in present tense.
So you were actually influenced by a book that you were reading?
Yes.
And that sort of like helped you to develop your own
Rogue
style?
Lawyer by John Grisham, although it's a completely different genre, it's a completely different style.
Yeah. But how you are writing it is similar to how he...
Because it gives you the
Right.
feeling that you're at the moment there and then, and it's like living through almost like living through a movie, if you see what I mean. Like watching the movie there and then.
Yeah.
And it makes it more exciting for the author, sort of the writer, sorry.
And you have to have a good time whilst you're writing. The characters are in your hands. The plot of the story is in your hands. All of a sudden, you might be inspired and then change how the book flows. So you have to be enjoying it while you're writing. You were saying about, you know, film, and you made a little, you know, trailer to promote your book. Funny enough, at the moment at the cinema, there's a film called Ant and the Wasp Man. So you couldn't really call, you know, your book Ant or something, or you couldn't be Ant-Man or something. But
As I mentioned before, at the beginning, I was thinking of naming the book Little Ant-Man.
yeah,
And I go to the TV room one day, I switch on the TV, and I see there's a movie called Ant-Man. And I thought, great, Hollywood's beat me to it.
yeah,
So I changed the name of the book to Anto, which is the underground city under the ground.
Yeah.
And I decided that the name of the trilogy is going to be Anto, but the name of the book is Curse of the Hidden City.
Yeah, and then there'll be the second book.
The second book, actually, I'll give a little giveaway. The second book is going to be called Anto, Journey to the Underworld.
Interesting, interesting.
That's the first time I'm mentioning this now. No one knows.
Okay, so it's exclusive. We now know the second book's name.
But I'm not going to give the third book away.
All right, you can keep that for another time. But
Next interview, maybe.
next interview, next time you're here on the program. So the second book you're writing at the moment. Is there a timeline for when you hope to? Do you give yourself a time number? You say, well, I want to do this by this date, or do you just go with the flow? There's no rush.
I go with the flow because I'd rather get it right than give myself a timeline.
Yeah.
Sometimes I give myself a few days, sometimes a week's rest. I go back to it and read through it, and just so I can have a fresh mind to see how it's flowing. But I mean, if I had to predict when the second one is going to be ready, I'd say probably about either December or January. It could the whole manuscript could be ready by then.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's definitely going to be ready because
We don't know, do we?
we don't know. And the storyline is there, but sometimes I think of a fresh storyline to counteract with the main storyline, just to make it more exciting.
And also, when you're thinking about December, January, you'll have a new baby in the house by then. So things could change in your household. Things will change in your household for the better.
Because I find that there is no right or wrong while writing a story.
Yeah.
There is no right or wrong way of writing a story.
Yeah.
Every author, I think, has their own styles of writing and their own ways. Some people change locations. Some people sit in the same office and write. So, and some people, I heard people finishing a book in 5 or 6 years, and other people finish it in 72 hours.
Yeah.
It's up to the
individual.
The individual, really.
Of course, you know, it depends on how much time you can spend and how much inspiration you get as you write the book. Well, I think you've done really, really well. You were quite, when we were speaking on the phone, trying to set up this interview, you were quite harsh on yourself, saying, "Oh yeah, I did a bit of music, I did a bit of, you know, artwork, but I'm not really any good, and now I'm doing this." But you know, I think you, wherever you put your hand to, you, Namak, you're very, very sincere, and you give your whole to whatever you're doing. You're very creative. Music and art is, you know, two of your passions, and now you've got this as well.
As well as being creative, I like being a perfectionist when I'm doing my hobbies. I'm a perfectionist as well, which is
quite tough on yourself, actually, isn't it? When you want to be a perfectionist, sometimes it doesn't always go that way, does it, in life?
It doesn't. There's been a lot of sleepless nights sometimes. Shall I do things like this, or shall I do things this way?
Yeah.
So I like to take things seriously as well, but also have fun while doing them.
Yeah, it's not easy at all. It's not easy doing anything creative because you want to do something nice that will be appreciated by the public. You're putting your feelings out there into the public domain because really what you're writing is what's going through your mind. Same with your music and same with your art. You know, what you're feeling is what you project into your artwork as well. Do you get a lot of joy now from writing? Is this what your current passion is?
Joy. It's very therapeutic, and also I should mention that I have a web page, and in my web page I have a blog, and I do a review on different books every week. On my blog page.
Yeah.
They're mostly self-published authors like myself, and so if anyone's interested, they can look at my web page, www.nkchawish.com. And if they want to read the blogs and read the different interviews, the reviews of the books.
So you can, you know, share your reviews, and do you get feedback from other people then as well?
Actually, the authors, they so far they liked what I written about their books. They've all been positive reviews, and they shared it on their web pages. So it's been good. It's been good to interact with other authors as well. and get their ideas.
Who knows, in the future you might actually do a physical book club where you meet up with people, you choose a book to read, come back again and do a book club here.
Idea.
An English language book club here in the TRNC. So you have a website, and also Anto is on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.com, Amazon.co.uk, and the other countries. And it can be ordered on Amazon. It takes, if you're living in the UK and you order it from Amazon.co.uk, it actually arrives within a day. It is the paperback is print on demand, and also it's in an e-book format.
Yeah.
And that you can download that. It's only 99p, and it's also on Kindle Unlimited. If you're a member of Kindle Unlimited, it's free download. So
I like the physical book. Paperback
I
is...
enjoy the physical books as well.
Really?
Turn the pages.
I would have thought that you being...
Call me old-fashioned, but I enjoy the physical books more than e-books.
You surprised me there, Namak, because as a person who's got a blog who reviews, I would have thought you'd probably be downloading the books or onto your Kindle and then, you know,
I'm not saying I dislike the e-books, it's different, but...
But you prefer, like me, the old traditional way of having the paperback in your hand.
I like going somewhere quiet, or if it's either a beach or the park or in the office, holding a physical book and turning the pages. It's more personal, I reckon. But I'm not saying e-books are bad. I don't want people...
Of course not, no. I mean, technology is so wonderful that you can download any book you want anywhere you are in the world.
It does save a lot of, actually, it does save a lot of space, and also it does helps with saving the trees.
Yes, it does.
So it has its...
it has its advantages. Eco-friendly are e-books or Kindle books, but call me old-fashioned if you will. But I do like the paperback to read whatever you want, whatever you're doing. So we also have, like you said, a few editions here in the TRNC of the paperback based on print on demand.
Print on demand, that's right. Yeah.
I heard you were talking about being invited to the English School of Kyrenia when the school reopens back in September to talk with the children there on a special book day.
That's correct. I actually went to see them, went to the library manager there, and I said to them I'd like to donate my book to them. So it's in their library archives, and they were very friendly, very kind, and they said in the new term next season they'd like to invite me for Meet the Author Day, and I could talk to the children about the book, and I could physically show my book to them and donate the book to them. So
yeah, and they can meet the author in person, ask questions.
The date is unknown, but I'm also approaching other schools. I talked to a few people, other libraries as well, and I'm going to be donating my book to various schools in the TRNC.
That's really good, excellent, Namak. So hopefully we'll be seeing a few copies around the place, around schools, or maybe in a couple of bookstores in the future. If you get deals with a couple of bookstores, I'm sure they'll be
working on it at the moment.
Yeah, they'll be happy to stock it.
Books into Cyprus and sell them as paperbacks. So if that happens, it'd be good for people to go and buy them in shops. Shops.
That'd be really good. Also, before we end the interview, we still have enough time to talk about, you've got another book in mind where you're bringing football to the TRNC, and this is a completely different subject to what you're doing now. Tell us a bit about, so what's happening there, Namak? What's this idea that you've got where you're you know, a bit of a comedy, a bit of a book about football, and North Cyprus included as well?
Yes, I'm writing an adult book at the moment as well. I don't want to go too much into that.
Yeah, but this is something...
It's going to promote, not promote, but it's going to include North Cyprus, TRNC in it as well. Excellent. And also introduce the culture here.
That sounds something good. So you are really, really very busy, literally, in the world of literacy.
Well, I'm trying to be. It's taking a lot of time because I'm busy with other things at the moment as well. I have the car rentals and also the Pilates studio as well, So there's a lot going on at the moment.
A lot going on, and you are a very busy man. Although you mentioned Pilates, and you have classes for husband and wives.
There's reformers for husband and wives. We have a very good instructor who came from Turkey. She's fully certified, fully qualified. And there is group Pilates, and also there is individual or group reformer Pilates, which is the Pilates machinery. So
Do you do it yourself with your? Are you there with your wife, husband and wife team, or not?
sometimes I try and go and get the exercise,
Yeah.
but we're so busy at the moment.
I can imagine. You are a very, very busy man. Namuk, always busy with great ventures. You're a perfectionist, like you said, and I think you have done very, very well with all that you're doing at the moment. It's not easy to balance work life with a young family that is expanding at the moment, and also to keep your hobbies going as well, which is turning into a great hobby for you. Do you encourage your son? I mean, your son was inspiration for you as he wanted you to read bedtime stories to him and to make up stories now.
He loves listening to stories, and he loves making stories up as well. He sometimes says to me, "Now I'm going to tell you a story," and he starts.
Yeah.
And for a 4-year-old, it's
Yeah, he's pretty good, huh?
he's all right.
He's got good imagination.
And actually, he's very good at drawing. This is what I noticed. He's very good at drawing and painting.
Yeah. So maybe next time he can draw some of your characters. Maybe he could be a part of the book,
Yes,
of the
next time
trilogy.
I'll have him on the program as well.
Yeah, I'll bring him in. I'll bring him in as well. You can do a father and son double act here on the program. But I think that you're doing very well. I think that it's very important to have this interest in children at a young age, because too many kids are now playing on computers or on the mobile phones and not reading.
I try and keep him away from the electronics, although it is difficult. I try and encourage him to draw and paint more.
Yeah, and to read.
And to read, although somehow he has worked out how to work the iPad.
Yes.
Better than I can, I think, sometimes.
He probably knows where to go.
Yes, young children these days, they're very technology cautious.
They're born with this in their,
Yes.
you know, this movement in their fingers, expand, but and swipe. But you're doing a great job to encourage him, at least, to take up reading. It's very important, and to encourage others as well. With your book, Anto and the Curse of the Hidden City, and the trilogy that's coming up, you're going to be inspiring youngsters, at least teens and above, into reading.
I just want to say it's once you get into reading it, it is like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
And, I promised the reader that it would be hard to put down. It is it's
a page turner.
It's an original book. I'm not saying it because it's my book, but it's turned out to be a very interesting project.
I think
I'm proud of it. So.
Well, the preamble, I mean, only one soldier has what it takes to protect the city, but will it be enough against what's coming? The eternal battle between good and evil is about to be fought with unexpected villains and equally unexpected heroes, with an ending that could just be a new beginning. And so that's why we have a trilogy, because when it ends, it could be the beginning of a new chapter.
Of, unexpected twists and turns.
Yes.
There, so.
Namuk, I think you are a really, really talented guy.
Thank you, John.
We've known each other for over 10 years. This is the third time that you've been on my program, A Cup of Conversation, and I'm very happy to have you here. It's been too long since you were last here. Let's hope it's not another 7 years that you...
I hope so.
That we don't meet.
Thank you.
But thank you very much for bringing in a copy for me of your book.
Thank you for having me on your program.
You're more than welcome.
It's a privilege to be here and to talk to you about my book.
The honour is all mine. I wish you all the best for completing the second and the third in the trilogy.
Thank you.
And I look forward to more books in the future.
I'll keep you posted.
Definitely. Good luck with your lovely wife and new baby around the corner, a young sister for Dede Mehmet, and hopefully it'll be an edition that will be on my birthday on the 19th of November. Who knows? I hope so.
It's around that time. So.
Yeah, it's a special date for you, special date for me as well, as it's my birthday, but I wish you a healthy addition to your family later on this year. As I said, good luck with everything, and all we have to do is to get this book, go on to Amazon, they just write Anto, Curse of the Hidden City, or write your pen name, NK Chavush.
Even if you write Anto,
yeah, it'll come up.
it comes up. Or if you go to my webpage, www.nkchavush.com,
Right.
there's an option there. You see it straight away. You click on it and it brings you onto the Amazon page. So that's another option.
Very easy.
Very easy.
Okay, so repeat that website once again,
www.nkchavush, that's CHAVUSH.com.
Very easy. And there you have it. Get this book, definitely. I'm going to be reading this soon, fresh into my hand, fresh off the press, as they say, out of the printers. And I would definitely advise you, if you are into fantasy books, if you're not, this is a book that must be on your reading list this summer and beyond here in the TRNC or wherever you are.
Even if you're not into fantasy books, I'd say give it a go and I guarantee you'll enjoy it.
You'll be hooked. And N.K. Chavush will be your favourite author this year, definitely. Namak, well done for all that.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. And I send my regards back to you and your lovely family.
Thank you very much, Andy.
You're more than welcome. And with that, we have come to the end of this very fascinating edition of A Cup of Conversation on BRT2 TV. Wishing Namak, or N.K. Chavush, as he is as an author, all the best for the future and the Anto series. Until next time we meet in the TRNC studios of BRTK in Lefkosha, take care and go well. Bye-bye.